Hello, this is Cheryl Neer, sharing and presenting for Online Reading 592. I have been researching and studying visualization as a comprehension strategy. The above picture, is it a vase? Is it two people facing each other? Is it both? This represents the gestalt, or the whole. Visualizing helps children see the whole picture. Visualizing is a dual coding strategy that uses images and text to make meaning. Both sides of the brain must work together to form the main idea. Linda Gambrill in 1981 and then later in 2002 researched first and third graders' use of mental imagery to infer and predict text during reading. This study chose 29 first graders and 29 third graders who were reading proficiently at grade level. The students were given a short story written with the Frye readability level of their grade. The story was separated into 5 parts, at which time a question was posed. What do you think will happen next? The experimental group in both groups was told to make pictures in your head to help you remember before reading each of the 5 parts of the story. The control group of each grade was told to think about what you read to help you remember. Responses were then recorded. This research showed that imagery did not increase reading comprehension for first graders, but it significantly increased third graders' ability to infer and make text predictions. It showed an increase in readers' engagement with the text, and that using mental imagery allowed for access to students' background knowledge in order to infer and predict. The NRP's meta-analysis, Teaching Children to Read in 2000, shared research on the 5 big ideas of reading: phonemic awareness, vocabulary, spelling, comprehension, and fluency. In the area of comprehension, the NRP specifically recommended explicitly teaching students to create mental imagery or visualization in order to improve reading comprehension. Linda Gambrill's research from the previous slides showed visualization as a valid and significant method for improving third graders and above comprehension. It also showed that the same procedure was not effective for first graders. So how can one use visualizing with younger, beginning readers? Erin McTighe stumbled upon the advantages of using storytelling for visualizing with second graders. Interestingly enough, she and her class were closeted in a darkish coat room one day for a lockdown drill. In a desperate method to keep the children calm and entertained, she began telling a story based on an Anansi folktale. Using some gestures and verbal expression, the children were soon engaged. McTighe reported, however, that when she introduced a monkey into the story, the students all desired to know, what color is your monkey? Much student discussion occurred, and they drew upon background knowledge, even remembering Curious George, as individuals visualized the monkey. The author McTighe suggests that storytelling allows the students to be more engaged in the story and is a valid way to introduce mental imagery to young readers. When some students talked about how they figured out what color the monkey was, several said, "I see a movie in my head," or, "and the monkey is swimming." The monkey is swinging. Donna Wilson and Conyers, 2010, developed an instructional strategy of creating brain movies while reading. In this, students learn to intentionally create mental models based on the text. The brain visualizes based on individuals' background knowledge and memories, and then the ensuing brain movie one creates helps bring text to life, aiding recall and comprehension. Here is some information on one visualization program, Visualizing to Verbalizing by Nancy Bell. As with many reading strategies, this one can be a good tool for all readers, but I have already found it especially useful with those readers who are word callers or tend to be hyperlexic. It is recommended for students 2nd grade through adult. Younger students would benefit from visualizing from storytelling. The steps in Bell's program are explicit and she gives very clear examples. Children learn to put images to words, sentences, paragraphs, and extended text beginning with step 1 here. Step 1 is the climate. Next, they begin using 12 structure words. The words are what, size, color, number, shape, where, movement, mood, background, perspective, when, and sound. Playing I Spy helps use some of these structure words. To begin this kind of I Spy, a teacher would face away from students, and the students are describing something the teacher cannot see. They construct an image with those 12 descriptive structure words, and the teacher describes what their words made her picture. The next step in Bell's visualizing verbalizing is for students to imagine from a single word without a picture. A noun is best. One way to practice this skill is to play a kind of imagining game of Pictionary with one team guessing a word while the other describes it using those 12 structure words. Here's an example of word imaging, dog. So they want to develop the small unit of one word, again using those 12 structure words. Then you move to imaging a complete sentence. During this stage, it is good to practice with gestures. These can be used when describing the size. It was very tall, move your hand accordingly, or the location under the ground, again use a movement. This kinesthetic piece helps students remember the word, content, and image. Next is sentence by sentence imaging. So you connect the text usually a paragraph first from oral language. Then after that's been mastered, go to written language. So this includes visualizing, verbalizing, and thinking about the whole. Again, the gestalt. To remember each sentence in a paragraph, a different colored token is used to represent the sentence. In all of this, automaticity and imagery and verbalization is the goal. Then the student can move to reading their own text. Begin with very concrete objects and sentences, and then your sentences and paragraphs will be higher order thinking. The next step in this whole process is writing, which the author describes as imaged thought. I have seen how the visualization to verbalization strategy improves comprehension. Already, I have used it with both poor decoders and word callers and found it to improve their understanding of oral and written text. I'll continue to research it. Here are a few other resources for you for further information. But first, some strengths and weaknesses. No program is a miracle. Visualization and verbalization is explicit and clear and is flexible for individual, small group, and whole class use. It is an investment of time, and then visualizing should be a comprehension strategy across the content areas. Now some resources. If you have not yet found the Into the Book website, you're in for a treat. It has resources for students and educators for visualizing, as well as 7 other research-based comprehension strategies. Do not forget the plethora of information on Reading Rockets. It also has video clips, articles, etc. on visualization. I am looking forward to using and learning more about the sketch to stretch strategy for visualizing. The idea is sketching to stretch your comprehension. It is targeted for 4th to 6th graders, and I've used it a tiny bit just with sticky notes within novels or chapters. And then that striking red, black, and white book is the visualizing and verbalizing text I spoke to you about. This is where I got my lesson, and it is complete with ready to implement lessons to explicitly teach students to visualize and verbalize. Thank you for listening, and I hope you are encouraged to further pursue teaching using visualizing and verbalizing as a way to improve students' comprehension.